So today we have special guests, Christian and Cody, and they're going to share with us how they survived the solar industry and turned it into a multi-8-figure business. So Cody, Christian, what's up, guys? You're in Vegas, the only day it rained in like all of the whole fucking year.
Yeah, it's good to be out here. It's good to see you too, man. It's good to see you. It's been a while.
Bro. It's been a cool minute, and I know you love Vegas, so I'm actually super proud of you that you're like not raging.
We're staying focused this time.
Yeah, we had to tame him. We had to tame him last night.
You're like, no, Christian. Dude, so solar, it's been super, roller coasters. I haven't seen a lot of teams, be successful like you guys, especially in California and M3, all that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you guys kind of do to separate from the pack and continue to keep thriving?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, so like NEM3 happens and most people are like, oh my God, this is the end of the world. And like you would expect me, since I'm on the podcast, to be like, well, we saw exactly what we were going to do. But like it was the exact opposite. Like we, just like anybody, like had no idea what we were doing. But I think like it's really just like speed of the leader is the speed of the team. Like one of our core values at OHM is adaptability. And so like just being able to adapt to things like that. And then if you can go and win like in this market, you can go and win anywhere. And I think that's a better mindset to adopt than like, oh my gosh, it's so challenging here. How are we able to like do this? Maybe we should move industries. Maybe we should do insurance, this, that, the other.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, if you can adopt the mindset that like, hey, if we can just go win here, we can go win anywhere. I think it's easier to like go through hard times because you know it's for a purpose.
Yeah.
And like truthfully, it's ended up being easier than we thought.
Really?
Funny enough.
I mean, it seems like you guys are killing it. It was like a blessing, right? Like, oh, hell yeah, we'll just sell batteries then. What a great idea. Why didn't we think of that before?
I mean, like, contract values are double the amount. Commissions are double the amount for reps. Like, people are making more money in general. And I think we've just gotten to, like, figure out also, like, who is the crew and who are the people that we want to work with. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Cody's been, like, a super strong leader through it all, too. So
Yeah.
What's your perspective, Cody?
Yeah. Honestly, just adding one product to, what was just PV before, now it's batteries, is just adding one product and raising that contract price. And the operational eye is not that big of an issue, right? So not going to lie, we definitely had some fall on our faces, right? But it's like Christian was talking about, just speed to action of when something goes wrong, how fast do we fix it? How do we adjust things for the reps to make sure that they're going out and being as successful as possible, making sure that if there is a boo-boo, customer's taken care of, and that review reflects to us. So speed to action has been everything for us.
Yeah, so let's take it back. Like, how did you guys get started? Where did you guys meet? Like, what's the OHM story? I don't really know the origin OHM story, so let's hear it.
Kind of weird, but so when I was younger, like my dad used to own athletic clubs, and so I got to like watch my dad growing up, and like every kid wants to be like their dad. Like my dad's an entrepreneur. I'm like, okay, I want to do that. And then 2008 recession hits. He loses all the athletic clubs. Then he's going out and knocking on doors and coming home in this orange polo. Like he was working at Vivint at the time.
Oh, no way.
And he went from showing up in a suit every day to like wearing this orange polo. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
And so he's
How old
out.
were you at that time?
I'm like, probably 10, 12 years old. And the funny part is that like Cody's so old that he's working with him.
Dude, we're not old. Shut up, bro.
And so Cody, when I'm 12 years old, he's like, Christian, one day we're going to... No, I'm just kidding. My dad's like, I'm like asking him, what are you doing for work? He's like, I'm going and I'm knocking on doors. I'm like, what the hell? Even at that age, like, what are you doing? And, but he was providing like an amazing life for us, like our family and everything. And he was working super hard and was so passionate about it. And so as soon as I graduated, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. Like I wasn't in kindergarten, like, hey, I want to be a door-to-door salesperson, but a little bit after. And so graduate, and then I go and I'm like, hey, Dad, like I want to start in the industry. And he's like, you can't. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you need to go and get 3 jobs like before you can do this. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you won't respect the opportunity if you don't go like work somewhere else. And so
that's pretty wise on your part.
Yeah, it was good because, like, I mean, perfect takeaway. Like, made me want it more than anything. Like, probably part of the reason, like, actually most of the reason why I'm here today. But, like, shortly after I go and work those 3 jobs, I start working at a company called Phoenix Solar with Cody.
No way. That was your first job? Or
no,
after the 3 jobs?
Fourth.
Oh, fourth. So this was the 4th job.
Yeah. And Cody's the operations manager there. I was running one of the sales teams there. And that company like had a great culture. Things were blowing up. I mean, Paradise Fires had happened in Northern California. And so there was a lot of pain around the utility company. And we were selling like a lot of solar. I mean, at one point we went to go tour the Gigafactory because we're the #1 installer for Tesla Powerwalls in the nation. And just a bunch of cool accomplishments there. Cody can kind of hit on what happened from there.
Yeah. So it's funny because when I met Christian's dad was at Vivint, that was about 12, 13 years ago.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, so you already knew it,
Yeah,
like
so I
his
already
family
knew him.
origins?
Tony was the top producer, one of the top producers for
For
them.
alarms at the time?
No, it was actually solar.
Oh, no way.
It was
Solar
like the
13?
beginning of Vivint Solar.
Wow.
Yeah, so we like ran the first office in Chico that came up, and
sick.
we were there for 4.5 years before they went back down to Sacramento. And I actually piggybacked with Tony for a little while, where we went to I think 2 companies after that, and then we went over to Phoenix, and then that's where Young Buck came in. And honestly, at that point, I was pretty in with Tony, and then he's just like, "This is my kid," and I'm like, "Okay, buddy."
You're like, shit.
We're gonna
I have some funny memories where like an install would be going wrong at Phoenix, and I'd like call Cody because they messed up commissioning this Tesla Powerwall, and it wasn't Cody's fault at all. It's like the operation had some struggles there, and then I called Cody. I'm like, "Hey, dude, can you fix this? I'm gonna get so many referrals if you fix this." And that's the typical like sales to operations but like they don't care. It's not, they're not incentivized for that. And so Cody would kind of just be like, "Yeah, dude. I mean, I'll get there somewhere." It's so funny that like we're here where we are now.
Yeah, that was Tony's #1 thing. His dad was, "Man, I swear if you go do this for me, we're going to have 10 more jobs." It's like, all right, I got you. But
So when you met Tony at Vivint, were you like doing sales or operations?
I was
still?
doing operations.
Oh,
I was
no
actually
way.
doing installs, at that point.
So you were like always have been on that side of it, never like in the sales side?
Yeah, so I never really got into the sales side until we started Ohm.
No way.
Yeah.
And so what made you like connect with Tony on a level like where most, operations people are like, shut the fuck up, go away.
Yeah, I mean, downstream, anybody in the Deluca family, their personalities are family. So Tony was the guy that was always bringing us out Gatorades, food, where every other rep's just like, "Nice, thanks for the paycheck, boys." And so Tony was always doing that. His wife, who actually ended up working for us for a little bit as well, they were always just showing up, so it just felt like family. So it was just easy to work with the guy and move to other companies with him as well.
Oh, no way. So
Yeah.
you moved with them even like just on an operations side?
Yep.
Was that like organic, or was it like, hey, we're leaving, like sales guys do, like, all of us, let's roll out?
No, it was there was two instances. Vivint was retracting back down to Sacramento, and so when Tony went to a company called Join Solar, he then recruited me to come over there just because he was already leaving, and I had no home at that point. And then when Phoenix happened and got up and going, that's when he was like, "We're going.
Everybody, roll out.
We're getting in the bus."
The class.
You too, Cody, let's go. Oh, dude. Okay, so now back, so you met little Deluca.
Yeah,
and then
met Deluca, and Phoenix at that point was having its struggles. Saw a lot of things not to do at that place. It was really good for a while, and then money does funny things to people. And we kind of saw the writing on the wall. COVID was hitting. The company wasn't doing too well, so I pulled out. And at that point, Christian had done a little bit of partnering with a couple guys that were at Phoenix to start a sales org. And at that point, I just pulled back and went and got my contractor's license, thinking I don't want to ever deal with these sales reps ever again. I'm going to do third-party installs.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. I'm going to be on my own. And funny enough, I had called one of the guys that was a partner at that point and just said, "Hey, I want to do some installs for you guys. This is my plan." And we ended up meeting at one of our old business partners' garages. I walked up, they're looking at a car. Christian knows nothing about cars. Our old buddy, he had cars, but it seemed like he always had a project rather than a car. And we literally just struck a deal right there within maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah.
No way. And that was
real
like
loose.
the founding of Ohm.
Yeah.
Real loose. I said, hey, I want to be majority owner. I've got X amount of cash, and yeah, I want to be the CEO. What do you guys want? And they're like, all right,
Cool.
this is what we're doing then.
Yeah.
So,
No way.
yeah, I mean, there was a little bit that followed up with that, but it was a pretty quick conversation, handshake, and then like just us being hungry, like we just really started piecing things together and,
Dude,
and going after
Yeah,
it.
and thank God that like Cody was the CEO at that point, because like honestly, like I did not have my shit together. Like we're starting this company up, and I'm like, had made some money through the sales org.
When you were young at
Yeah.
that point, right? Like,
Yeah, I was like 21 at this point, and so, like as we're piecing things together, like we're selling some deals, but it was actually like one of the more like pivotal points in my life too. Is like Cody comes to me, he's like, dude, like you're a partner in this business. Like, what are you doing? Like, you need to step it up. Like, and that's like why now I lean so hard into accountability within our organization, because it's like it really is the purest form of love. Like when somebody does that for you, not to you, like it's super impactful. So he starts to hold me accountable. I start to like step it up, and we're like, originally when Ohm first started, we're in a warehouse with one of our business partners' couches that he brought.
I think I saw like maybe you posted pictures of it or something on
Yeah.
like your story or Facebook or
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep. And so we had a couch, we had a truck in there, and one other girl, poor girl, Erin,
Yeah.
like doing all of our permitting and final inspections, or not even final inspections. She was,
Yeah.
but some part of the operations process. And from there, like we were doing maybe 10 deals a month at most, and then we just start scaling from there, like bringing on salespeople. We brought on another business partner, Ryan Wright, who's been an absolute animal. Like dude's won a golden door and just been consistently installing over 100 accounts every single year. And then from there, we just started building teams. And I mean, there's a lot more to that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So let's go back a little bit. So when
Yeah.
you guys were it was just you, Cody, like doing all the installs, like your own truck, your own tools, just like you would buy the supplies and just go like, where'd you get you had like the plug for panels and everything?
Yeah,
or, like-
yeah. So just with my background with, working at Phoenix, being operational and a couple other places that I had already made relationships with like CD and a couple other distributors. So when we started, they were kind of like, we'll give you one job at a time. And so I'm like, all right.
That's all I need.
I'm like, Christian, go sell one job right now so we can go install it. So like at the beginning, it was me. And then I brought on my best friend at the time and still works with us, Shane. And I just said, like, come over here and help us start this and it'll be a good thing for us. And he made the leap of faith with us as well. So yeah, it was just like a one job, like kind of
At a time
operations.
thing?
It was like, sell it. I'll go over to the permit office tomorrow. I'll pull it. We'll go grab material. The two of us will install it, and then we'll get paid. And then it's your turn again.
Dude, that's a crazy like bootstrap story.
Yeah.
But like back then, was funding like faster or like?
Well, so the thing
or
is,
did
like,
you have
we
capital?
we
or-
didn't even have funding at the beginning until we reached out to, for some reason, got in touch with Cody Teal, who was at SCT at the time. And SCT was one of the companies that merged with Lumio. And then so we get on the phone with Jonathan Gibbs, and he's like, hey, I'll let you guys use our financing portals, but it's going to, and like at the time, SCT is doing like 400 installs a month and like probably one of the bigger solar companies in the nation, like, and about to do this huge like merger and acquisition to become the biggest solar company in the nation. And we're like these dudes doing 5 jobs a month. And we're like, can we use your financing portals? And like they're super cool about it. Let us use their financing portals for a fee and everything. And so that's how we're funding projects. And it was good because we got to learn how to like go through the whole funding process, like M1 to M3. And but yeah, that was the beginning of it.
Dude, that's wild. So
Yeah.
you're just running up there, grabbing the materials, putting it on the roof.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, that's wild. And so what do you think has been like your, like where you're at now? What, like from looking back, what would you like say to yourself back then? Like to do anything different or change anything or what? I don't know.
Yeah, no. The only thing I would tell myself is just to keep going harder. Honestly, I think we've done a really good job and we've gone really, really hard. At the beginning, it was just, let's just make paychecks and like pay our bills. Like as long as we're paying our bills, we're gonna be all right.
Yeah,
so like if I could go back to day one and say like this is gonna be so much more than just paying your paychecks, like just explode now, because I think it took us about 6 months before like we started actually getting a backlog. Like 6 months, we were probably 3 jobs. Like we'll go install these 3, go get 3 more, and then like 5, and then we'll install these 5. And then next thing you know, I was like, oh shoot, dude, like these guys are actually killing it. Like I need to get a crew. And like, so we get a crew, and then I go start a second crew, and it like just starts going from there. And it's, at the time, like mine was just pay bills, not like, what is this going to be?
Yeah. Well, so with crews, it's like a big investment, right? Because you need to get them trucks, tools, like all these things. Was there like ever like a space where you were like, I don't know, like nervous or like, oh shit, like let's do this, or like go in harder, invest or double down on it? Did you ever like face those type of situations?
At first I thought it was a fault, but I think it's a good thing of me. But I'm pretty stingy on the money when it comes to it. Like I'm like, dude, this needs to be in the bank account.
Yeah.
Like this is, don't spend this. Like we don't need that shiny thing.
Yeah.
Like we're putting all of our eggs back in the basket, and we're gonna save these for later. So like, honestly, we're pretty thankful for like the way the beginning went, where like we threw all the money in the pot at the very beginning, had nothing left. We were just like, installs are all we're gonna have. But like right away we got traction and like started putting money back in the bank, and we weren't paying ourselves ridiculous or taking owner's draws or anything like that. It was just like nobody saw the bank account but me, and it was just like in and then like we needed a truck, and I was like, we have the money, and they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, check out the account, and they're like, holy crap, what are we doing? This is great.
You're like, we're operating on peanuts. Like, you're like, that's the point.
Yeah, we're sitting in a warehouse, and we have like 2 desks in the warehouse, and like space heaters for winter, and a air fan for summer, just sweating it out.
Somebody's like, go grab the water. Go grab the water to put it in the fan.
That's incredible, bro.
Yeah, we were pretty conservative for like a while there, but yeah, I'd say going back, probably one of the bigger things like I would tell myself, along with what Cody's saying, is just to think bigger. Like when you're at that point and you're first starting like an EPC with like a sales division inside of it, like I was thinking about like, how can I personally go sell double digits? And like, that's just not like how a business owner, like should be thinking. And so obviously things have changed now, but just thinking bigger, like we started to build and scale teams after that. And like, that was one of the best experiences of my life. And I think like being in the trenches of every single aspect of this job, like Cody's done every aspect of this job. He's done everything from surveying the job all the way to final inspection, to PTO, to installing it. I've done everything from like setting appointments to closing deals to recruiting to like the whole 9. And so it like makes you all of that experience super competent into like when you do like actually build the business instead of like working in the business, it allows you to have a better vision of like what you need to do.
And what was like how did you transition from that to like working on the business?
So, I mean, there's like an intermediary period where for a good portion of time, like I was recruiting a ton, and what was super pivotal at the time is I started like investing in courses like Door to Door U, Michael O'Donnell's like stuff, Mikey Lucas as well, and like paying for some form of coaching. And that's when I really started to like blow up. And then so I'm recruiting people in, and it's funny because like door-to-door sales in Chico, California, that wasn't really a big part of the culture. So I'd like recruit these guys, and I'd be like, they're like, well, what do you do? I'm like, well, I go out and set appointments. They're like, how many do you set? I'm like, I'll go and like set 4, like, typically in a day. And they're like, you go and set 4 appointments. How much do you get paid for this? I'm like, it's like $5,000 to $6,000 per deal. Yeah. And they're like, dude, if you can do that, like, show me how. And like, take them out, set 4 appointments. They're like, what the hell? And so just continued to scale that. And then I eventually ended up building a team like within the organization where we were doing around 100 accounts a month. And then ended up personally winning a golden door like inside of our own organization too. And so, shortly after that, we started working like on the business. But I think it's so important that like if you're a business owner, that you have to like lead from the front and then go and prove the concept first. Because if I never would have done any of those things, like how could anybody take coaching from me? How could they take advice from me? Like if they don't know that I'm willing to do the same things that they are.
That's huge. That's huge. What about you? Have you always just had like an overview like of things, like, or did you have like a transitional moment as well?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm still definitely working in the business, but working on it at the same time. So, I think there's a lot of seasons of where our business goes and where it's going to be going. And whenever you do something new, you have to get back into the weeds. And so, there's been pull-out points where, you know, Christian, like you said, he was doing 100 deals, just his team, where we had our other business partner at the time doing another 40, 50. And so at that point, I kind of had to be out creating the operational team to be able to support that at the same time as being in there and making sure things were getting done. So I know when NEM 3 happened, you know, we took a little, it was honestly kind of a breath of fresh air where it was like, oh man, I think if we would have done this for much longer, like our systems would have broke. So like now we know what we were doing. It's time to fix these systems. So at that point, it's like another step out of the business. Let's work on the business instead of in the business. And I see these waves continuously happen of like, we're pushing. Okay, let's pull out and like, let's see where we're at in the business. And then let's figure out, like me and Christian sit down and we'll figure out what's next. What do we need to fix? What do we need to do to continue to grow? And like, that's the working on the business part, the pullback part. And then it's like, cool, game plan. You go that way, I go this way. Let's go crank this thing out. And then we're right back into the weeds. And so I think that any good business owner is really never completely out of the weeds. It's more that, you're setting yourself up for the next weed patch to go mow around in.
Let's go. I love that analogy. That was great. Is there like patterns that you see that like make you be like, okay, let's pull out? And what does that like pull out look like? Is it like just a day? Is it a week? Is it like a month? You take time, or like what does that look like?
I wish it was like cut and clear, like Christian this week, dude, we're gonna go off site and like we're just doing this. But I think as an entrepreneur and as an owner, what you're doing is you're doing your daily tasks and you're dealing with your team and make sure that they're set up for success. And then when you're done with all of that stuff, then comes your portion of things. So that's why a lot of people put in hours on the weekends. Christian's big on, you know, Sunday planning, and so is one of our VP of sales, Jody. Like he leads the way on doing Sunday planning, which is huge. So like taking those extra steps and just making sure that you're not treating it as a job. Like you don't just go clock off. Right. Like you have other people, you have a whole organization that's relying on you providing the right place for them to provide for their family. Yeah. And so just making sure that you do your portion for them in the weeds, and then daily you're pulling out just to make sure that like you don't have blinders on. Yeah.
Dude, I have a question for myself. Is like what you said is when you bring on people, their like livelihoods depend on it, like their families, like this like it's like a trickle effect. And for me, it's always kind of like scary when I bring on people to like to know that I have that responsibility and to continue that like level and then keep going. Yeah. Is there like, did you ever face anything or overcome that level of challenge maybe in the beginning?
Yeah, of course. I mean, in the beginning, like I said, I brought over my buddy Shane, and actually pretty quickly I brought my mom on, and it was just one of those things where it's like you almost like gamify it in your head of like, okay, I'm not here to win for me anymore. I'm here to win for these people. And like that gets me up and gets me excited and making sure that like these guys are successful. I mean, if they're being successful, I'm going to be successful, but like how do I get somebody their first sale? How do I get an operations guy to be up to speed as fast as possible so that way he's successful? So it's almost like gaming the system of like, how good can I make you? Like not myself, but how good can I make you? And in the interim, like I'm developing new skills.
That's fire. Do you have any?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, it's the same thing. Like the law of the lid. Like our capacity determines where they go. And like, you know, you were talking about Dan Martell earlier. He talks about like if you don't like people's 80%, that says more about your 100% than their 80%. Like, because people are going to operate like your best people will operate at 80% of the capacity that you do. Your worst people at 50%. But if you have this huge ceiling, then like 50% can be okay, or 80% can be okay. Like you can tolerate those type of things. But I'd say like obviously working on to become like the best version of yourselves at all times, and like people feel that in your organization. But it's also just like winning over the hearts and minds of your people. And like I genuinely enjoy that aspect of it. Is I'd say like it almost feels like 50% of my time is like not just like, hey, use this door pitch, or when you're recruiting, do this, or hold accountability with your team like this. It's like, hey, what are your personal problems? How do we work through these things? And like the phone calls at 7:30 on a Friday when I just got done like grabbing dinner with my girlfriend or whatever, and then we're on the phone till 9:30. Like those are the most important and like impactful conversations I think in the business, is like having the conversations with people like in your organization when like really you maybe shouldn't. And yeah, I think that stuff hits home with the people that you work with.
Yeah, I noticed like I recruited 3 sales guys from Solar to like come sell for us.
Yeah.
Like, same thing, door to door, business to business, and they're just so like needy, bro. Like I have to give them so much energy to like everything. Like bro, like one guy called me, he's like, "Hey, do you still believe in me?" I'm like, "Yeah, bro, what nothing changed. Like I'm just doing my shit. Like I got to run a whole fucking organization. Like I'm hoping that you're doing what you got to do, you know?" So like, is that like a red flag, or are they all like that? Like, because I feel like if my whole job was just like being that for them, like I could do it really effectively, but maybe I'm not being as effective as they need me to be.
That's how they all are, including myself. Yeah. I mean, maybe not that. I haven't had anybody ask me in a long time, "Do you still believe in me?" But maybe that's because I'm nice to them, Oscar. But no, I'm just kidding. But I think the reason though, like, to justify it, and like I'm always on this side. Cody's gonna laugh because I'm like constantly defending the salespeople, but like the reason they act like that is like it is such a challenging job, and you're facing rejection like constantly, that you need like constant reassurance to know that you're doing the right thing. Because like let's just like peel back for a second. Like if you're being told no every single day, normally that would mean that you're doing something wrong. Yeah. But like we have to do these weird mental gymnastics to convince ourselves that we're doing something right. And like that takes a lot of time, effort, energy, like leadership. And so
that makes sense. I never even thought of it. At that point, he's right.
I honestly think it's funny because I was very heavily set operational wise, and I stopped installing actually in the field probably about 2 years ago now. And now that I'm pulled back, being able to see both sides clearly. Honestly, both sides are kind of identical, to be 100% honest. And it trickles from the bottom all the way up to where, like, even some days, like, I'm just this little ornery shit in the office, and, like, nobody wants to be around me. And then the next day, everybody's like, "Oh, man, he's so happy." And, like, Christian will come in and, like, have a moment, and then he's like, "I'm sorry." Like, I think we all kind of do it. It's just that we do it together, and then everybody else does it with us. And so we get to hear everybody's problems. We get to help them through their problems, where to them, like, we don't have problems.
Right.
But
and that's why you guys do like coaching and stuff, right?
I always like preface it. I'm like, "Cody, I would never tell the guys this, but dude, I'm going through this."
That's so funny. And that's why, like you were saying, like the coaching is important, because that's like the next level that you like, you know, reach up to. So how has been Dan Martell's coaching? What's your biggest takeaway so far? Are you guys both doing it, or is it just you?
Yeah, we're both doing it. So far, I've gotten so many nuggets out of it. The guy's so intelligent, and honestly, like we were talking about in the beginning, accountability, like that guy crushes it on accountability. Like he doesn't even let you speak in the group unless you've done like his daily non-negotiables, and like just daily learning, like marketing, operations, sales. Like the dude just knows everything there is, it seems like, to be about business, and he likes having fun about it. Like some of his stuff's riding a scooter around with people and like filming that, and it's like, oh man, like it makes you like think outside of the box of like, I got to be at a conference table like to have all these conversations. Like no, like go take a walk, like get outside, get active, like get people feeling comfortable. I think that's probably the biggest thing for me. Like takeaway is like, you don't have to be so like in business. Like you can use your lifestyle and have fun with it, and like other people will actually like comfort up to that and relax and feel more at home when you do that. Yeah,
I think it's just being like authentic, like Cody's talking about. Like business can be so rigid, and there's like so many ways of like, if we have a recruit, like we take them out to dinner. And I've noticed like if I take a recruit out to dinner, it's like actually the worst place to talk in the world. Like it's super fucking loud. Like, nobody can even pay attention. You're eating a ton of food, so you don't feel good. So you can't convey the same sort of like authentic energy to them. Like there's so many things like that I think, like Cody said, it makes you like think outside of the box and be authentic, like with truly what works instead of just like age-old traditions,
Yeah. So what are the like non-negotiables that he makes
So there's
you
like 5 daily non-negotiables, right? And so like one of them is like 3 story posts a day. And so one of those need to be like one with a selfie video of like you talking. And the biggest thing is like if you're talking on the camera, like you become a better version of yourself. Like if you do that every single day, like the energy that you have to bring to that makes you a better speaker, salesperson, so on and so forth.
Well, and just to piggyback on that, to me, it's like you're talking to the universe and you're like articulating your vision. I pretend no one's watching. So I'm talking to myself. Like, I'm like looking at the camera like, I'm telling you, bro, there's nobody here but you. Like, so. But,
I love that perspective too.
Now I'm spacing out on the rest of the daily non-negotiables.
So we have the 3 posts, which is like just pretty much branding yourself too. And then is it exercise?
Yeah.
You got to be able to exercise.
It's like reading 10 pages a day.
Yeah.
It's like basically like 75 hard plus like recording yourself.
Yeah, it's literally 75 hard but recorded.
Yeah.
So 3 posts.
Yeah.
Reading, exercise. There's 2 more. I need the insight, bro.
Dude, so like you're gonna have to go to danmartell.com.
I don't know if we're gonna like release that.
I love it. No. I'm trying to think of the other 2 because the last month I've really been slacking on it, to be honest. So you do it to be able to ask questions. You still can be in the mastermind, and you still get all these nuggets. And there's like 500 people in this.
No way.
Yeah, so like you're on Zoom with a bunch of people, and Dan's just clicking away, and then he'll like do one session of informing or information, and then the next session of like just Q&A. And as long as you're doing the non-negotiables, you get to ask a question. And like for the first like 3 months, dude, I'm doing this. I'm challenging like my VP of sales because we want like him to be projecting himself more too, which he's done a good job at. Yeah. And so like I'm making bets with him like to hold me accountable, and like I'm getting on there trying to ask questions. And like the last 3 months I see like, oh man, I'm like, these guys are getting on like, they got bots or something. They got their hands up like already on the Zoom. Like I open up and then there's already 30 people in the queue, and I'm like, am I gonna get a question today?
Have you got a question?
I have not, but it seems like by the time it even gets like remotely close to me, like all of these business owners like have already between either 1 question or 5 questions. Like I got my question
answered.
So like I'm almost like take my wave down. Like dang it, why was I looking in the camera for so long? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, the camera on, like ready. You cleaned up the background.
But no, it's been good. Like I think one of the biggest things learning for myself is actually trying to brand yourself and being in front of the camera, and you always feel like you look or sound worse than you do. And like it's funny, Christian, like we'll be in the office and I'll play one of his videos and I'm like, damn, that's some nuggets. And he's like, oh, it's so cringy, turn it off. And like I do the same thing with my videos, right? And like, but then like I'm getting super good feedback, so it's like almost driving me to do more of it. So overall, man, that mastermind, like I think anybody that's a business owner should go check it out.
Let's go.
Definitely.
Well, so just some like insight on like content, because that's what I do, right? Like my full freaking job. So I do like this big training on like, have you read, what book is it? It's over there. Outwitting the Devil.
No.
By Napoleon Hill.
No.
So like it talks about like the 6 fears that plague mankind, like fear of ill health, fear of criticism, fear of loss of love, fear of death, fear of poverty. I forget the last one. But anyway, so he elaborates like all of them and goes into it. And posting and just social media in general, like the fear that plagues everyone is the fear of criticism. Yeah. So like I do like this big training on like before you could even start putting out content, you have to overcome that, because like why do you feel like, oh, you sound weird, or why do you feel like you look weird or what, because like what other people would think, right? And like if you just kind of can eradicate that, or just be brave enough to be like, fuck everyone. I just imagine no one's watching. Yeah. Like I really think no one sees any of my shit. So when anyone, like you said, is like, oh dude, that helped me out, you're like, oh fuck yeah, it works, let's go. Yeah. And you just keep going, you know, and just building that habit like anything else.
Yeah, 100%. That's good.
Like I said, I'm gonna log that in the brain, because like when I'm filming, you know, like our Quinn, who's our guy doing our video stuff, he's like giving me little tips, like hold the phone here, do this, and like in my eyes, I'm like seeing thousands of people behind, like all my followers. I see all their faces.
Everyone you've ever met in your whole entire life.
Stop looking at me up there. Now I'm gonna start thinking that like it's just me here.
Dude, it's just you. Like you know, you're talking to yourself, and like for me, I like film, like I like mount this little camera and I'm filming everything and I'm just like sharing my thoughts and I'm thinking out loud of like my vision or what I'm doing for the day or whatever, and it helps like gain clarity on like what I'm doing, and then if you get cool content out of it, it's like a bonus. And it's one of those things. Who is it? Damn, I can't remember what book it is. Habit stacking? I think it's Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits,
yeah. So like if you just habit stack, if you like can mount a camera when you're driving, it's not like any extra energy. Now you're just talking while you're driving and getting additional
I think that's
content.
one of the biggest things too, is like finding like the times that you're like in state to film, because it just like hits so much harder on the other side of the camera. Like I've noticed for me, like habit stacking, like if I run a meeting and I've already like created this hour-long meeting content, whether it's a leadership meeting or I go help like run a meeting for one of our teams, like right after, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I know that I can deliver this message like this, you know, and it just hits so much harder. Or like right after the gym or in the car, like you're talking about. For some reason, the car is like perfect.
It's amazing, bro. It's like you're private. It's just you. You could like run through it. You have Quinn and the editing, like so you could just cut out like all the nonsense. I love the car. That's like one of my like easiest habit stacks. If I haven't filmed anything, I just like mount it up there. But you could do it with the phone or anything. You just get a little phone mount, turn it around, and just jam out. Like
makes it easy.
Yeah, it makes it super easy.
Yeah.
I mean, so takeaway. All right, so what's next for Ohm, bro? Like you guys are crushing it. You guys have been operational since 2020 or?
Yeah, 2020.
So 2020 going on 5 years, killing it. What's next? What's the next 5 years look like for you guys?
Like right now, well, the biggest thing that we're focused on, like in any organization, the biggest bottleneck is leadership, because like we have the systems down to where we can recruit unlimited like appointment setters. Like that's really easy to do. What you more of what you need is a leader to help like show them the way and like teach them like how to be accountable and, you know, what to say on the doors, how to overcome objections and all of those things. And so like we can open up as many offices as leaders that we have. And so that's been like a huge focus for us, is like implementing different systems. Like, you know, we have this leadership development course that we put everything through. It's called LDP. And that's been huge. And like the goal is to just continue to like help develop leaders so that we can go and open up more offices. And if anybody wants like some of the slides that we have from LDP to go take to their team, I'm all about abundance. Like you can we'll put the Instagram in it and you can just DM me the words LDP or whatever and I can send it to you. But yeah, like that's the biggest focus, just opening up more offices through like helping grow leadership. And like how we do it is a little bit different, because most people I think are willing to jump at every single dollar. Like we don't run a dealer program. We don't install for other companies. And we've been offered those things like hundreds of times. Mm-hmm. And like we know that the vision is we want to do internal ops and internal sales at a really high level, and like so we can control the process in both ways. And so like it takes longer to grow that way. But like that's how we're going to do it. We're also not like the type of company that's like, hey, we're going to go scalp everyone from every other like organization, because you know how that goes and like the culture that brings in. I think it's just so much more important to grow like not necessarily slower, but like at a reasonable pace, but like have something that you know that is going to have long-term value, instead of like jumping at every dollar.
Yeah. Cody, what's the future look like for you, bro?
Yeah. Well, right now we have our Roseville office open, and we're really just hammering.
You have another one outside of SAC?
Yeah. Well, so it is SAC Roseville. It's right there, and we're just hammering that out right now. We've got a couple good leaders there in place that we're just filling the office, and going to soon be bringing operations down there. And it's like that. You know, we're taking our like extra time on this just a little bit, just because like if you can multiply something perfectly one time, like we have the playbook to go do it 10 more times,
Right.
you know? And so we're really just making sure that we're dialed in, because for one thing, like we're built on reviews and customer referrals and internal, and like our internal team is our family. And so the last thing we want to do is go jump into 5 different markets, dilute ourselves, and then our team loses trust in us. And so we're really showing them that we're doing it the right way right now. You know, me and Christian are in this workshop down here in Vegas at the Hormozzi scaling workshop, and we're like, you know, the last couple months we're like racking our heads like, man, like we got to do more. And like, it's just a mindset that we've built, but like we're in this room of 100 plus other business owners, and like we're one of the top when it comes to revenue, and we're like looking at each other like maybe we shouldn't be so hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
But like we're like fist bump, but we're still going to fucking work.
Yeah.
You know, and so like right now we're hammering in that duplication, so that way, you know, by the end of this year we can do it again, and next year do it again, and then our team continues to see the value that, hey, these guys are creating more opportunity. And yeah, like maybe Chico has the leaders there now, or, you know, maybe there's another spot or two, but man, these new markets are coming. Like, I want to get out of here. I want to go build something else. I want to be bigger in the company. And that's something we want to make sure we're not holding people back on.
Let's go, bro.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's a dope vision, man. So you guys going to Hormozzi and you're like, dude, we're doing all right. I think that's a huge lesson too, is to like be grateful and be present and like appreciate like the place you're at. Especially like you don't have kids, do you?
No.
Cody? But like especially when you have children, it's like I'm like torn between like, you know, doing like right now I miss like the whole like morning routine, but like we have to keep pushing the vision forward. And then sometimes again I wish I could do more, but then when you look back, like it's like, dude, we're doing great, and our life is incredible, and like, you know, we impact, you know, hundreds of people or whatever the case is, and it's you know, the grass is pretty green here, bro. It's like, does it, you know, and I think it's like a balance of like not staying like there and complacent, but like, you know, stop and smell the roses on occasion.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's hard because you on your Instagram, a lot of the times it is like what you want to attract or what you want to be in, and that's exactly what you see. And so like no matter where you're at, like we're doing like multiple 8 figures, but then like it's always like 100 million, you know, and you're like, God, we fucking suck. You know, but like we have a business principle at home that we all live by. One of them is like always grateful, never satisfied. Like you can't have both. Yeah. And I think people can like torment themselves with not being where they want to be, but like you can still be happy with where you're at, but like want more. Like they're not mutually exclusive ideas.
Yeah, that's like the balance, right? Like, and how do you like, you know, I guess I can't think of the word promulgate, like promote that culture to like your guys. Yeah,
it's definitely challenging because like to be grateful but not be satisfied at the same time. That's like a really like fine line to walk, and it's hard to balance. But I think like, you know, we have guys that'll come to us and they're like, oh, I made $200K this year, but like I'm not satisfied with what I made at all. Like if I don't double it this year, I'm going to jump off a bridge basically. And like, not literally, but hopefully not, man.
We need you, bro.
But like I always like in those conversations, I'm like, hey, dude, this is awesome. I love that you're thinking this way, but like let's take a second and like be grateful for where we're at. Like 99% of the world would die to make this type of money and like live the life that you're living. So like what are we grateful for about like where we're at right now? And like just getting people to say out loud like what they are grateful for. Like how often are you like, unless you're doing Sunday planning, like how often are you really like talking about what you're grateful for in your life? And then redirecting that energy to like, you know, going and getting their goals rather than just like hating where they're at.
That's great. I have a question for you, Cody. So with ops, it's a little different than sales. Like it's similar for me in my organization. I like no one's gonna get rich working for me. They're just gonna you know, get what like we can afford to pay them in the margin or whatever. But like, how do you like get more out of your guys without like with sales guys? You're like, yeah, you can make more money. Like how do you like get that extra energy out of them without like that?
Yeah.
Like, sales?
So on the install side, I've kind of just duplicated on the sales side where I pay a piece rate. So guys are able to either go out and make more money in a short amount of time. And we pride ourselves on quality first, speed second. And these guys can go out and make $100 an hour. And I'm willing to pay that, right, as long as the job's getting done the right way. But I think also is just really showing them what the vision is. And like what I was talking about, going and duplicating this market and having other markets is like, we're going to need more operational managers. And as that comes, like at some point, we're going to need somebody dealing with distribution and warehouse managers and fleet managers. And that's going to equal a VP or a director or a COO. And I think just continuously showing them the growth and not saying like, hey, we're doing good. We went to the Hormozy factory and like they told us we're at the top. Like, let's stop here. Like, let's fine. Like, then people would say, okay, like, what's the next step for me? Like, you guys are happy. Like, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
And so I think just always showing them like, it's not about me. It's about like, what can I provide for my people? Yeah. And by us duplicating shows them that there's going to be growth patterns. And when we do that, we'll go do another two and another two. And these guys get to see that those opportunities are open to them first. And we'll bring people in second.
Yeah. Can I offer a change in belief too? Is like with people who come into the organization, I think that there's like a way, and maybe this is overly optimistic, that like everybody can get wealthy or can get rich within the organization. Because like say somebody walked into your organization today, they're like, I know this is an extreme example, but they're like, oh, okay, I'm going to go and like bring in $2 million worth of revenue. It's like to some extent, like they would make probably pretty dang good money. Like, and so I think it's just like what Cody's saying is like helping no matter who it is, whether it's like the camera guy or like the salespeople, is like helping them see a path where like they can provide more value to like earn more money. Cause it really is like I'm sure you're willing to pay them more. Yeah. But it's like only on the other side of like providing more value. So it's like it's so simple but so challenging, and I face the same challenge every time. Is like, how do I help my people see a way that they can provide more value, but then how do I hold them massively accountable to it? Because a lot of the times if it's just like, hey dude, if you did this you could make that much money, they're like, it just doesn't happen, you know? Like people need accountability more than anything. And it's like the biggest misconception that like people don't want accountability. They don't want to like do much and they just want to hang out. Like people aren't fulfilled that way. Like they need somebody like holding them massively accountable for them. Like of course not to them, but So
keeping the progression path like continually like evolving, like the road, like the rainbow road is going to keep going and like letting them see their way and plugging them in. You think it's like unique to each person, like building a unique vision for each person to see a progression?
That like people are motivated by like so many different things. Like for some people, it's like the idea of, you know, the lifestyle for them. Other people, it's like purpose and helping others. For other people, it's madness. Like they love competition and like the idea of just beating other people, you know, individuality, like just being different than everybody else. Like there's so many different ways that people are motivated by. And I think it's just like tying into what they are motivated by and creating alignment. Like Jeff Mendez, we had him come speak in Mexico. One of the things that he said is like the softest pillow that you can sleep on at night is alignment. If their goals are aligned with your goals and aligned with the company's goals, like everybody runs in the same direction. There's not a ton of tension. But when their goals aren't aligned with your goals and aren't aligned with the company's goals, everybody's like pulling in a different direction.
Wow, that's a great visual.
Yeah.
That's dope, bro.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, we're at like a little, almost an hour. Is there any like final thoughts? Anything you guys want to share with Pathfinder family?
The Pathfinder family. I just want to say, dude, thank you for like having us on. Like every time I've seen you, you have like the most positive energy in the world. And I've even seen like Oscar, what was it, like 3 years ago, I went and shot our first set of training videos. With Oscar in Vegas. And it was like in his garage. Like he has like a perfect like Ohm story or Amazon story too, you know, like, like I think Oscar does like media better than anybody I know. He set up our podcast studio. So like absolutely shameless plug. Like
let's go.
If you hear this, like take advantage of it. Like people, if you have a good message, you have a moral obligation to share it. Like if you don't, you're hiding it from people. That's not a good thing. That's scarcity minded. Be abundant. Share the info that you have and like you need somebody to help you get that message out, and like the perfect person for that is Oscar. So
Aw,
Yeah.
Dude.
got me in the heart.
I know. I mean, I'm gonna piggyback off that too.
Yeah.
Like Oscar has known about Ohm since like we even like jumped onto the map at all, and like just walking around as like first conference and like seeing the team of Oscar, I'm like thinking like, dude, this guy's already got it made. Like we like figuring out like how we can make things work. And
yeah,
like,
he's filming us at that.
yeah, it's like
conference.
you got your team filming us, and like I'm just feeling so hyped, and like the way that you project yourself onto people. Like we walk in and it's like, what's up? Like nonsense of like how's life. It's just like no, like what's going on. Like we didn't skip a beat, and like
Yeah.
I think that's a strong thing you got going for yourself, and
Thanks, bro.
we appreciate it, dude. We really do.
I appreciate you guys,
Yeah.
man. Just sharing positive energy, right? And
Yep.
it's all with like taking care of yourself and then overflowing the cup
Yeah.
and just
Yep.
channeling positive energy, bro.
Yeah.
Well, that's I think my purpose in life is just to channel positive energy
I
wherever
love
I
it.
can, man.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Let's freaking
Good.
go. Well, thank you guys for coming. Where can we find you? Where can they find?
Follow me on Instagram at C_Deluca. And
Yeah.
Cody?
Instagram is Pitts PITTS 0135.
Let's go.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you,
you guys
Oscar.
for coming, bro.
Cool. Thank you,
Okay.
Oscar.